The Unknown Regions, Exploration and Encounters. Chapter 1. Charting the Edge. What are the unknown regions? In the vast tapestry of the Star Wars galaxy, the unknown regions remain one of its most enigmatic and perilous frontiers. Lying beyond the edges of the galactic map, this mysterious quadrant is shrouded in secrecy, riddled with navigational hazards, and rich with untold stories. Unlike the bustling core worlds or the lawless Outer Rim, the unknown regions are marked by absence, the absence of order, of certainty, and of reliable star charts. For many in the known galaxy, they are a whispered myth, a void where few return from, and even few understand. The unknown regions occupy a massive volume of space in the galactic west, beyond wild space. While wild space serves as a buffer between known civilization and the galactic frontier, the unknown regions are something else entirely, a dense thicket of hyperspace anomalies, rogue stars, gravitational distortions, and ancient secrets. Even the most advanced navicomputers struggle to plot safe passages through it, and no galactic government has ever been able to claim it in full. Many historians believe the unknown regions were formed naturally, the result of astronomical chaos that disrupted the usual stellar flows. Others whisper that dark side energies, ancient wars, or even extragalactic influences twisted this corner of the galaxy into an untamable maze. What is certain is that from the earliest days of galactic history, explorers, cartographers, and Jedi navigators have peered into its depths and vanished. The edge of known space became a warning more than an invitation. Long before the rise of the Republic, proto-hyperdrives existed that allowed scattered species to jump between neighboring systems. Early Rakatan scouts from the Infinite Empire may have been among the first to venture into what would later be called the Unknown Regions. Their star maps suggest a limited reach, but ruins discovered at the edge of known space hint at attempts to extend their brutal empire deep into the uncharted frontier. Thousands of years later, the Jedi Order and the Republic began their own surveys of the unknown, but efforts met with limited success. Entire expeditions vanished without a trace. Astrogation data was rendered obsolete by shifting gravity fields and celestial storms. One such storm, known as the Griswold Maelstrom, devoured 3 survey fleets in a single decade. This caused the Republic to formally restrict official exploration, classifying most of the unknown regions as off-limits. Only sanctioned research teams, Jedi scouts, or reckless freelancers dared breach the edge thereafter. Among the greatest challenges was the hyperspace barrier, an invisible wall of shifting gravitational eddies and dark matter anomalies that made traditional navigation impossible. Standard hyperdrives required clear vectors and precise calculations, but the unknown regions offered neither. Explorers who entered without reliable data often ended up off course, for months, years, or worse. Some emerged into totally different regions of space. Others simply disappeared. Despite the danger, curiosity remained. For many, the unknown regions represented the final frontier of understanding. A place not just of danger, but of potential. What alien civilizations might dwell beyond the veil? What secrets of the Force might lie hidden? For the Jedi Order, it was also a spiritual question. Some masters believed that unknown Force nexuses might be buried within its stars, places of great enlightenment or great darkness. To the Sith, however, the unknown regions offered a perfect refuge. For generations, they used the chaotic terrain to mask movements, build hidden fortresses, and conduct dark rituals far from the prying eyes of the Republic. It is whispered that even Darth Bane, the architect of the Rule of Two, considered fleeing to the unknown regions during his early years of study. Later, during the height of the Clone Wars and into the era of the Galactic Empire, interest in the unknown regions intensified. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine commissioned secret observatories and hyperspace beacons to peer into the void. Though never publicly acknowledged, he believed something ancient and powerful lay hidden there. a threat or a prize only he could master. His obsession would outlast even his life. For many galactic citizens, the unknown regions are nothing but legend, a dark space on old star charts, a whisper of danger in a spacer's cantina. But for those who truly gaze into the void, it is a place of discovery, loss, and awe. To explore the unknown regions is to challenge the very limits of the galaxy's imagination, and for some brave souls, that challenge is irresistible. This is where our journey begins. Chapter 2. The Pioneers of the Void. Before the Empire, before the Clone Wars, before the Old Republic spread its influence across the stars, there were those who dared to peer into the black corners of the galaxy. These individuals, known as hyperspace scouts and pathfinders, were among the bravest and most reckless beings in galactic history. They were the pioneers of the unknown regions, mapping hyperspace lanes that defied logic and risking everything to find the edge of civilization. In the early days of the Republic, when hyperspace travel was still crude and dependent on trial and error, the idea of exploring beyond known space was viewed with both fascination and dread. While the core and midrim worlds were steadily connected through established routes, the unknown regions remained elusive. Those who set their sights on that vast frontier had little support, relying instead on ingenuity, grit, and luck. Among the earliest pioneers were the legendary hyperspace prospectors. These were adventurers who charted unknown routes using instinct, mathematics, and patience. They would launch themselves toward uncharted stars with only the most basic sensors and a deep belief in their skills. Sometimes they succeeded. Sometimes they vanished without a trace. One of the most celebrated efforts came during the time of the Republic expansionist era. This was a time when the Senate supported exploration initiatives, funding brave scouts to go where maps ended. Ships like the Intrepid, the Wayward Sun, and the Starward Echo ventured out into the unknown regions. Some returned with wild tales of crystalline worlds, massive organic space stations, and alien fleets. Others were never heard from again. Among the Jedi Order, exploration was more than scientific. It was a spiritual calling. Jedi pathfinders were trained not just to chart routes, but to sense disturbances in the Force and act as guardians of discovery. These Jedi often journeyed alone or in small teams, trusting their connection to the Force to guide them. They were peacekeepers at the edge of reason, facing environments few others could survive. One of the most haunting cases in Jedi exploration was the disappearance of Master Denya and her apprentice Vos Balin. Sent to investigate Force disturbances on the edge of the galaxy, they transmitted fragmented messages about echoes in the dark and stars that weep. Their final transmission ended abruptly. No one ever found their ship. Some Jedi believe they crossed into a place where the Force no longer spoke to them. Not all exploration was noble. Many independent captains and mercenary surveyors took to the unknown regions with profit in mind. The lure of untapped resources, valuable minerals, and rare alien technologies was enough to fund countless expeditions. Pirate crews would sometimes disguise themselves as explorers, looting any isolated ships they encountered. In time, the Republic ceased supporting open navigation into the unknown regions, citing unacceptable risks and loss of life. The tragedy of the Katana fleet, also known as the Dark Force, stands as one of the most sobering examples of exploration gone wrong. This fleet of 200 dreadnoughts was part of a Republic military experiment to automate navigation. Slaved together under a central control system, the fleet was designed to travel vast distances without direct command. But something malfunctioned. The entire fleet vanished, jumping into uncharted space. For decades, treasure hunters searched the unknown regions for its location, hoping to uncover its massive firepower and technological secrets. Among the lesser-known but fascinating groups were the Navigators of the Silent Convocation. This mysterious collective of Force-sensitive monks from the Mid-Rim believed that the unknown regions held gateways to other realities. Their rituals combined ancient charting techniques with Force meditation. They spoke of celestial harmonics and the voice of the void. Although their theories were dismissed by mainstream scholars, a few later expeditions confirmed that some of their star maps accurately predicted safe travel routes through areas previously thought impassable. Despite the overwhelming danger, these pioneers continued their efforts. What drove them was not just curiosity, but a deep desire to understand the fabric of the galaxy itself. Many believed that life had not only evolved in the known regions, but also far beyond them. They sought contact, knowledge, and connection with civilizations yet unnamed. Some dreamed of finding allies, others sought to uncover threats before they reached the galactic core. One such threat was encountered by a small expedition sponsored by the Trade Federation. Deep within the unknown regions, they encountered a vast derelict structure orbiting a dead star. Inside were the remnants of a biomechanical species, long extinct. The ship's databanks recorded an ancient war that consumed entire systems. The crew that uncovered this knowledge returned, but most of them suffered from long-term psychological effects. Their accounts were buried by their sponsors, dismissed as hysteria, but a few believed they had glimpsed what might be waiting in the dark. The pioneers of the unknown regions laid the foundation for all who would follow. Their maps, their legends, and their sacrifices opened tiny cracks in the black veil that separated the galaxy from what lay beyond. Though many paid the price with their lives or their minds, their legacy lives on. Every hyperspace route into the void owes something to them. And yet, the unknown regions remain as dangerous as ever. Chapter 3. The Chiss Ascendancy. In the cold heart of the unknown regions, far from the familiar lanes of the galactic core, there exists a civilization both ancient and enigmatic. The Chiss Ascendancy is a shining example of order forged in chaos, a bastion of strategy, intelligence, and discipline amid the shifting storms of an untamable region. Hidden for millennia, the Chiss built a powerful society beneath the galaxy's awareness, relying on isolation, control, and tactical brilliance. The Chiss homeworld, Chilla, is a frigid planet covered in glaciers and snowbound continents. Despite the harsh climate, the Chiss thrive there, having constructed vast subterranean cities, warmed by geothermal energy. Their culture emphasizes clarity of thought, precision of action, and absolute loyalty to the Ascendancy. Emotional restraint is a hallmark of Chiss society, and their political structure reflects a balance between family power and national unity. At the core of Chiss civilization are the ruling families. These powerful dynasties guide Chiss policy, military actions, and scientific progress. Families such as the Mit, Irizi, and Kla share influence through a complex meritocratic system, where individuals rise based on demonstrated capability. It is a society built not on wealth or charisma, but on skill and discipline. Advancement is earned through loyalty and achievement, not ambition or personal gain. Unlike the Republic or the Empire, the Chiss operate in secrecy. Their fleets do not patrol visible trade routes, and their influence is rarely projected beyond their borders. This approach has preserved their independence for centuries. The Chiss rely on advanced technology and sophisticated tactical doctrines that rival or surpass those of the wider galaxy. Their starships are sleek, heavily armed, and equipped with advanced navigational systems designed to operate in the chaotic terrain of the unknown regions. One of the most remarkable aspects of Chiss space travel is their use of force-sensitive navigators known as skywalkers. These are young Chiss children, primarily female, who possess the rare ability to instinctively sense safe paths through hyperspace. Because conventional navigation is unreliable in the unknown regions, the Chiss depend on these gifted children to guide their ships. As they grow older, the Skywalkers gradually lose their abilities, creating a sense of urgency and reverence around their service. The Skywalkers are protected and trained by a dedicated branch of the Ascendancy called the Third Sight. Their work is dangerous and taxing, yet vital to the Chiss way of life. Although the Chiss do not formally recognize the Force in the same way the Jedi do, their understanding of these abilities is profound and culturally significant. The Skywalkers are both a symbol of wonder and a reminder of how different the unknown regions are from the rest of the galaxy. Among the Chiss, one name would eventually resonate throughout the galaxy. Maître Numéro 2, known to outsiders as Thrawn, was a strategic genius born into the Myth family. From a young age, he displayed an unparalleled ability to assess threats, predict enemy actions, and formulate precise responses. His rise through the ranks of the Chiss expansionary defense fleet was swift and controversial. Though brilliant, Thrawn often defied convention, valuing results over tradition. Thrawn's first contact with the Galactic Empire came during a scouting operation near Wild Space. Recognizing the strategic danger posed by threats lurking in the unknown regions, Thrawn chose to ally himself with the Empire, believing that only a united galaxy could withstand what might be coming. He allowed himself to be exiled from the Chiss, pretending to be cast out in order to infiltrate the Empire and rise through its military hierarchy. Within the Empire, Thrawn's talents quickly became evident. His cool demeanor, artistic analysis of enemy culture, and ruthless efficiency earned him both admiration and suspicion. Unlike most Imperial officers, Thrawn studied the philosophies, histories, and aesthetics of other civilizations, using this knowledge to outthink and outmaneuver his opponents. He viewed war as a form of intellectual art. What few in the Empire knew was that Thrawn never forgot his loyalty to the Chiss. He used his position to gather intelligence, secure resources, and prepare for future conflicts that might threaten the Ascendancy. In time, he established a secret military enclave known as the Empire of the Hand, hidden deep in the unknown regions. This force combined Imperial technology with Chiss strategy and included representatives from dozens of local species. The Empire of the Hand was Thrawn's vision of unity against darkness. While it never became widely known in galactic history, its role in stabilizing parts of the unknown regions was significant. Thrawn believed that the true enemy was not the Republic or the Rebellion, but something much older and far more dangerous lurking beyond the stars. The Chiss Ascendancy, while often overlooked by the rest of the galaxy, remains one of the most advanced and mysterious civilizations ever encountered. Their discipline, independence, and strategic mastery allow them to survive in a realm where chaos reigns, and through individuals like Thrawn, they have left an indelible mark on galactic history. The unknown regions may defy mapping and control, but for the Chiss, they are home. A domain not to be conquered, but to be understood. Chapter 4. Beasts Beyond the Stars. To explore the unknown regions is not simply to navigate hyperspace storms or uncharted planets. It is to enter a realm where evolution has followed paths so strange, so alien, that even seasoned xenobiologists struggle to categorize what they find. The creatures that roam this sector of the galaxy defy expectations, existing in ecosystems shaped by radiation, gravitational distortion, and long-forgotten conflicts. Some are majestic, some are monstrous. All are unpredictable. Many of these beings remain undocumented in galactic archives, known only through the fragmented logs of lost expeditions or the whispered accounts of scarred survivors. These stories often blur the line between myth and reality, but among them are patterns. There are predators that hunt not just with claws, but with memories. There are leviathans the size of cities. There are species immune to the Force itself, moving unseen through the spiritual current of the galaxy. One of the most terrifying encounters recorded by an Imperial scout vessel involved a drifting creature later named the Akula Wraith. The vessel detected what appeared to be a derelict ship. Upon approach, the hull was pierced by massive organic tendrils. The ship was never seen again. Only a distress signal survived, its final words describing something alive and vast, a presence that consumed thought itself. Another disturbing species are the memory moths. These delicate, luminous insects resemble fluttering orbs of light and are often found on derelict ships or drifting space stations. When they attach themselves to a being, they feed on memories, erasing moments from the victim's mind in exchange for a feeling of calm. Some view them as dangerous parasites. Others believe they are remnants of a lost, force-sensitive species that chose forgetting as a form of survival. The unknown regions are also home to massive creatures that rival the ancient legends of galactic myth. Star dragons, serpentine beings with crystalline armor and glowing eyes, have been spotted weaving between asteroid belts. These beings are ancient and highly intelligent, though their motivations remain unknown. Some believe they were created by the Celestials, a godlike species from the early galaxy, to serve as guardians of forbidden places. Among the most formidable predators are the beasts bred and used by the Vigari, a nomadic slaver race native to the unknown regions. These creatures are genetically modified and trained for the purpose of hunting sentient beings. Fast, silent, and often equipped with biologically engineered senses, they are the nightmares of anyone caught outside a secure perimeter. One such beast reportedly hunted a Chiss platoon for 6 days without being seen. Only one soldier survived to tell the tale. Some creatures exhibit immunity to the Force, a trait that puzzles even the most learned Jedi. These beings, such as the Salamiri and their distant cousins in the unknown regions, naturally create voids in the Force around them. While Ysalami are known within the broader galaxy, larger and more aggressive relatives in the unknown regions pose far greater threats. There are reports of entire zones where Force users feel blind and powerless, unable to connect with their surroundings. Not all encounters are violent. The Lioan are a bioluminescent species of floating jellyfish that drift through the upper atmospheres of gas giants. They appear to communicate using harmonic resonance, and some explorers report altered states of consciousness when in close proximity. Though peaceful, the Lioan are fiercely protective of their kind. A Trade Federation survey team once attempted to capture several for study, only to vanish without a trace after a violent atmospheric disturbance. There are also stories of sentient flora, entire forests that react to intruders by shifting terrain or altering chemical compositions in the air. One such instance involved a group of explorers who wandered into a region where time seemed to slow. Their equipment malfunctioned, and they reported seeing the same star on the horizon for 3 days straight. When they escaped, it was revealed that their 3 days had equated to 3 years in galactic time. These examples barely scratch the surface of the biological wonders and terrors that dwell beyond known space. In the unknown regions, evolution is unbound. Freed from galactic norms, life finds forms unimaginable. Gravity wells shape wings wider than starships. Radiation zones create predators that see beyond light. Deep within asteroid fields, entire species hide in silence, waiting for vibrations to guide their next meal. Why do so many of these creatures exhibit resistance to the Force? Is it natural adaptation, ancient experimentation, or evidence of an ecosystem beyond the Force's reach? Jedi scholars debate the question, but none have returned with definitive answers. Some posit that the unknown regions are home to natural balance against the influence of the Force, while others suggest these creatures come from dimensions adjacent to our own. For all its danger, the biological diversity of the unknown regions draws continued fascination. Every new encounter is a step into the unknown, not just physically, but philosophically. What does it mean to face life that cannot be touched by the Force? How does it challenge what Jedi, Sith, and scholars believe about life itself? To face the beasts beyond the stars is to confront mystery in its purest form. No matter how advanced technology becomes or how wise the galaxy believes itself to be, nature always finds a way to surprise and humble those who travel too far from home. Chapter 5: Ancient Civilizations and Forgotten Empires. Long before the rise of the Republic, before Jedi and Sith clashed across the stars, powerful civilizations left their mark on what is now called the unknown regions. These were societies of immense scale and influence, many of which vanished without a trace, leaving behind only ruins, whispers, and cosmic scars. Their legacies are not merely relics of the past. In many ways, their secrets continue to shape the fate of the galaxy. The Rakata of the Infinite Empire were among the first known powers to venture into the deeper corners of the galaxy. Using hypergate technology and their connection to the dark side, they spread their influence far and wide. Although their primary territory lay closer to the galactic core, scattered evidence shows that Rakatan vessels reached the unknown regions in search of exotic slaves, artifacts, and dark knowledge. Some of the most twisted technological anomalies found in the void bear the same design principles seen in ancient Rakatan forges. One such site was discovered by Jedi archaeologists near the edge of the Kademu cluster. Beneath layers of volcanic stone lay an enormous control chamber, built with obsidian and latticed bronze. Its walls pulsed faintly with energy after thousands of years. Within its center stood a device that resonated with dark side energy, yet could not be identified by any known record. The Jedi sealed the site and left a beacon warning others to stay away, but that warning has since gone silent. Other remnants speak of civilizations so old that even the Rakata may have considered them ancient. Structures made of impossible alloys, star charts that no longer align with known constellations, and planetary systems arranged with mathematical precision all suggest an intelligence that operated on a grand scale. Among these are the rumored remnants of the Sharu, a species so advanced they are believed to have placed themselves into a state of stasis to escape galactic decline. The Sharu are said to have constructed massive cities hidden beneath jungles, deserts, and oceans. Their architecture avoids straight lines and right angles, instead favoring flowing curves and fractal patterns. The few explorers who have encountered these places report feelings of vertigo and heightened awareness, as though the very geometry of the structures speaks to the brain in unfamiliar ways. Some believe the Sharu were capable of interdimensional travel or advanced forms of memory storage that spanned lifetimes. Then there are the dark cults that vanished into the unknown regions during the Great Jedi-Sith Wars. Several Sith Lords, unwilling to be destroyed or bound by the rule of two, fled into the void with their followers. Over time, they either died out, evolved, or were consumed by the power they sought to harness. Some of these cults are believed to have found worlds saturated with dark energy, places where time bends and the Force takes on an entirely different nature. A haunting example of this is the world known as Rakthul, referenced in only one surviving datapad from a lost expedition. The logs describe obsidian towers that grew like trees, chants that echoed without speakers, and visions that struck the mind without warning. The team's final entry ended with a sentence half erased by static. It simply read, "The sky is watching." Other ancient powers may never have had names. Scattered across the unknown regions are monoliths inscribed with glyphs no one can translate. Some emit low-frequency hums that vary depending on the phase of nearby stars. Others appear to move, ever so slightly, when not observed directly. These ruins defy physics and logic, suggesting that the unknown regions were once a canvas for experimentation on a cosmic scale. The Outbound Flight Project, discussed in greater depth in the following chapter, encountered several of these relics during its ill-fated journey. Records recovered from the vessel hint at interactions with non-corporeal intelligences, systems that responded to emotional input, and fields of thought that disrupted normal brain function. Some of the Jedi aboard reported feeling a presence that extended beyond the boundaries of any known Force signature. Why did these civilizations vanish? Theories range from cosmic disaster to civil war to deliberate withdrawal. Perhaps they saw the growing violence of the galaxy and chose to step aside. Perhaps their ambitions consumed them from within. Or perhaps they are still watching, hidden among the stars, waiting for a moment to return. The unknown regions do not give up their secrets easily. Every step forward uncovers layers of history that challenge what the galaxy thinks it knows. These ancient civilizations were not footnotes. They were giants whose echoes still ripple across space and time. To explore their remnants is to gaze into the deeper questions of existence. What does it mean to build a society that lasts beyond memory? What is the price of knowledge untouched by compassion? And who decides which truths should remain buried? The past sleeps uneasily in the unknown regions, and sometimes it dreams. Chapter 6. The Outbound Flight Project. Among the boldest initiatives ever undertaken by the Jedi Order and the Republic, the Outbound Flight Project stands as both a symbol of ambition and a dire warning. Conceived during the final years of the Galactic Republic, this monumental venture sought to push beyond the boundaries of the known galaxy and establish peaceful contact with unknown civilizations. Its fate, however, remains one of the great tragedies of exploration, shrouded in secrecy, betrayal, and unresolved mystery. The project was the vision of Jedi Master Joro Sibareth, a brilliant and controversial figure within the Order. Sibareth believed that the Jedi had grown stagnant, too focused on internal politics and too bound by the Republic's bureaucracy. He envisioned a new purpose for the Jedi, one that involved spreading peace and enlightenment far beyond the known galaxy. His goal was not conquest, but cultural exchange and the establishment of Jedi-guided colonies that would serve as beacons of the Republic's ideals. To achieve this, Master Cabal proposed the construction of a massive spacefaring convoy. This convoy, named Outbound Flight, would consist of 6 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers arranged in a formation around a central command core. The vessels would be joined together physically and coordinated by advanced navigation systems. Outbound Flight was designed to carry thousands of settlers, scientists, and Jedi into the unknown regions. It would be self-sufficient, with enough resources to establish permanent outposts on any hospitable world it encountered. After much debate and political wrangling, the Republic authorized the mission. The convoy was launched with great ceremony, watched by those who still believed in the ideals of peaceful expansion. On board were over 30 Jedi, led by Cabeoth himself, along with families, diplomats, researchers, and a crew of skilled pilots and engineers. For a moment, it seemed that the Republic might truly reach beyond its borders, not with warships, but with a hand of friendship. But from the beginning, Outbound Flight was surrounded by uncertainty. There were factions within the Republic who feared the consequences of such an undertaking. The Jedi Council itself had mixed feelings. Sibareth's unorthodox views had drawn concern from more conservative members, who worried he might be using the mission to pursue his own agenda. Chancellor Palpatine, always watchful, quietly arranged for the mission to be monitored by agents of the future Empire. Unknown to the Jedi, Palpatine had also been in contact with another force hidden in the unknown regions. Grand Admiral Thrawn, then an officer of the Chiss Expansionary Defense Fleet, was tasked with evaluating the threat posed by Outbound Flight. The Chiss, ever wary of external incursions, viewed the massive convoy as reckless and potentially provocative. Thrawn saw in it the seeds of a greater conflict and resolved to intercept the mission before it reached deep into Chiss territory. When Outbound Flight reached the edge of Chiss space, it was attacked. The exact nature of the confrontation remains debated. What is known is that Thrawn, using superior tactics and intimate knowledge of the terrain, brought about the destruction of the convoy. Hundreds died in the initial assault. The wreckage of the fleet fell into the gravity well of a remote world and was buried beneath its surface for decades. Not all aboard Outbound Flight perished. A portion of the crew survived the crash and built a subterranean society using what resources remained. Cut off from the Republic, isolated and dependent on one another, these survivors created a new way of life. Over time, they developed their own culture, beliefs, and leadership structures. Some retained their Jedi training, others abandoned the Order's teachings entirely, adapting to their new reality with pragmatism and resolve. Decades later, remnants of Outbound Flight were rediscovered by Imperial and Chiss agents. The survivors had become something else, no longer settlers or explorers, but a people shaped by loss, endurance, and adaptation. Some viewed Thrawn as a villain. Others, understanding his actions in the larger context, saw him as a necessary force that had prevented far greater catastrophe. Master C'baoth did not survive in the way anyone expected. A clone of C'baoth, twisted by the dark side and driven mad by isolation, later emerged as a threat to the New Republic. This figure, calling himself Joruh C'baoth, sought to control others through the Force and re-establish Jedi dominance over the galaxy. His actions were a grim echo of the ambitions that had once fueled the original mission. The story of Outbound Flight is not just a tale of failure. It is a complex reflection of the risks inherent in exploration. Ambition alone is not enough. Vision must be tempered by wisdom. And those who seek to lead others into the unknown must understand the burdens they carry. The mission was noble in intent, but it was marred by arrogance, secrecy, and a galaxy not yet ready for unity. Today, the wreckage of Outbound Flight remains as both monument and mausoleum. Scholars still study its databanks. Survivors and their descendants tell stories of hope and betrayal. And the Jedi, when reflecting on their history, remember the mission as a turning point, a reminder that the unknown regions are not simply distant, they are demanding, and they do not forgive miscalculation. Chapter 7. The Yuuzhan Vong. From beyond even the darkest edges of the unknown regions came a force unlike any the galaxy had ever faced. The Yuuzhan Vong were not simply invaders. They were harbingers of pain, fanatics of transformation, and enemies of everything the modern galaxy held sacred. Their arrival marked one of the most devastating conflicts in galactic history, and their origin lies deep within the mysteries of the unknown regions. The Yuuzhan Vong were not native to the galaxy. They came from another galaxy entirely, one that had been consumed by war and catastrophe. Their exodus was driven by desperation and religious zeal. What emerged from this long journey was a people hardened by suffering, obsessed with purity, and determined to reshape the galaxy in their image. What made the Yuuzhan Vong truly unique was their absolute rejection of technology as known by the rest of the galaxy. Instead of mechanical constructs and artificial systems, they relied entirely on organic biotechnology. Their ships were living creatures, grown and trained rather than built. Their weapons were bioengineered organisms, often bred for specific forms of torture or destruction. Even their armor was alive, responding to their emotions and injuries. The Yuuzhan Vong viewed the Force not as an ally or energy to be harnessed, but as a heresy. More disturbing still, they were completely absent in the Force. To Jedi and Sith alike, they were voids. Their presence could not be sensed, their intentions could not be read, and their pain could not be felt. This made them particularly dangerous, as Jedi were stripped of one of their most vital tools when confronting them. Long before their full-scale invasion, the Yuuzhan Vong sent scouts and sleeper agents into the unknown regions. These early incursions went largely unnoticed by the greater galaxy. However, some of their interactions left lasting impressions. Reports emerged of strange organic artifacts, mutated ecosystems, and rogue creatures attacking isolated colonies. In retrospect, these events were the first signs of a far greater threat preparing to emerge. The Sith were among the first to truly recognize the danger. A secret faction of Sith Lords made contact with the Yuuzhan Vong during their early incursions. Instead of engaging in direct conflict, they sought to manipulate these outsiders, viewing them as tools to weaken the Jedi and the Republic. The Yuuzhan Vong, however, had no interest in serving others. They accepted knowledge from the Sith, then turned away, continuing their own preparations. During their time in the unknown regions, the Yuuzhan Vong established hidden worlds where they shaped their invasion force. Planets were terraformed into breeding grounds, warships were grown in the void between stars. Warriors were tested in ritual combat, trained not only to fight but to embrace pain as a sacred gift. In their theology, pain was a form of worship, a path to spiritual truth. Scars were considered beautiful. Mutation was seen as divine. Among the most feared of their creations were the Voxine. These were genetically engineered beasts designed specifically to hunt Jedi. The Voxine could track force-sensitive beings across vast distances and were equipped with venom that resisted most known antidotes. Entire Jedi strike teams were wiped out by these creatures during the height of the war. It is believed the original Voxine were bred in the unknown regions, using genetic material from species native to that chaotic expanse. When the Yuuzhan Vong finally launched their full-scale invasion, they did not attack from a single point. Their fleets emerged from the unknown regions like a tidal wave, striking multiple sectors simultaneously. Entire worlds fell within weeks. The New Republic was unprepared for the scale and ferocity of the assault. Even the Sith underestimated the destruction they had helped unleash. But the greatest tragedy of the Yuuzhan Vong invasion may not have been the loss of life or the devastation of planets. It was the realization that the galaxy, for all its power and unity, had failed to see the warning signs. The signs had been there for decades, buried in the chaos of the unknown regions. The clues had been ignored, the threats dismissed, and the lessons of history forgotten. Some in the galaxy began to view the unknown regions not as a frontier but as a well of nightmares, a place where forgotten powers waited in silence, a place where the laws of the known universe broke down. The Yuuzhan Vong proved that threats from beyond the stars could reshape everything, from politics to philosophy to the very nature of the Force. And yet, not all truths about the Yuuzhan Vong were rooted in darkness. As the war progressed, certain individuals within their ranks began to question the pain-obsessed doctrines of their leaders. Some learned to respect the galaxy they had come to conquer. A few even turned against their own kind, aiding the New Republic in critical battles. These rare acts of defiance suggested that even within a culture defined by violence, the seeds of change could grow. The legacy of the Yuuzhan Vong remains etched into the memory of the galaxy. They came from the unknown regions, but their impact touched every star and every soul. Their story is not only one of destruction, but of survival, transformation, and the consequences of ignoring what lurks in the dark. Chapter 8. Thrawn's Campaign and Secret Empire. Among all the figures to rise from the unknown regions, none has commanded as much respect, fear, and fascination as Grand Admiral Thrawn. Born Mithra Narulu, Thrawn was a Chiss by birth, a tactician by nature, and a visionary by purpose. His rise through the Galactic Empire was no accident. It was the result of a deliberate and calculated strategy shaped by years of preparation in the darkest reaches of the galaxy. Thrawn's departure from the Chiss Ascendancy was not the exile it appeared to be. It was a mission of necessity. The Chiss had long observed strange movements in the unknown regions, fleets of unknown origin, planets going dark, biotech growing on asteroids. Whispers of the Yuuzhan Vong had already reached Chiss intelligence long before the galaxy was ready to hear them. Thrawn knew that the only way to prepare was to gain influence and resources beyond what the Ascendancy could offer alone. By aligning himself with the Galactic Empire, Thrawn found an opportunity. He used imperial politics to rise through the ranks, demonstrating unmatched skill in military operations. He studied his enemies through their art, understanding that culture was the key to strategy. Where other officers relied on brute strength, Thrawn relied on analysis. His victories were not only impressive, but also elegant, as though he were solving equations written in chaos. Yet even as he conquered worlds and commanded fleets, Thrawn never lost sight of his true mission. Deep in the unknown regions, he began to build something extraordinary. Hidden from both the Empire and the Ascendancy, Thrawn constructed the Empire of the Hand. This secret organization brought together the best of Imperial military might and the strategic brilliance of the Chiss. The Empire of the Hand was not a traditional empire. It was a coalition of species, cultures, and technologies united by a shared goal: to resist the encroaching threats that stirred in the deepest parts of the galaxy. Thrawn recruited from among the refugees, the explorers, and even the remnants of forgotten civilizations. He trained them not just to fight, but to think, to adapt, and to survive. Operating in secrecy, the Empire of the Hand patrolled routes where no Republic ship had ever traveled. They established outposts on worlds too dangerous for conventional settlement. They negotiated with local powers, sometimes enforcing peace through strength, sometimes through diplomacy. Thrawn understood that force alone would not be enough. Survival would require understanding, cooperation, and long-term vision. One of the most critical aspects of Thrawn's strategy involved technology. Using knowledge gained from both Chiss science and Imperial engineers, he developed new forms of starships and surveillance tools. His fleet could strike fast, disappear into a storm of stars, and reappear where least expected. He created hidden shipyards protected by natural phenomena, making them nearly impossible to find without precise navigation. Among the species Thrawn encountered and recruited were descendants of ancient settlers and even survivors of failed colonization missions like those from Outbound Flight. Some brought with them knowledge of lost hyperspace routes or forgotten Force traditions. Thrawn welcomed these contributions, integrating them into a broader plan that few could comprehend in full. The Emperor himself had conflicting views on Thrawn. On one hand, Palpatine recognized Thrawn's genius and granted him the rank of Grand Admiral despite his alien origin. On the other, Palpatine kept a close eye on him, suspecting that Thrawn's loyalties were not entirely with the Empire. Palpatine was not wrong. Thrawn's ultimate loyalty remained with the Chiss and with his mission to defend the galaxy from what he saw coming. Thrawn's campaigns across the unknown regions were not merely military exercises, they were tests. Each skirmish and treaty was a step in a larger plan to create stability in a region where chaos reigned. Thrawn believed that only through preparation and unity could the galaxy withstand what he had seen. He did not seek power for its own sake. He sought order in a place defined by disorder. After the fall of the Empire, the fate of the Empire of the Hand became a matter of speculation. Some claimed it collapsed without Imperial support. Others insisted it had gone deeper into the void, continuing its work in secret. Scattered reports from resistance scouts speak of sleek ships bearing strange symbols, watching from the edges of space, never engaging, but always observing. Thrawn's legacy is more than a collection of victories. It is a philosophy. He proved that intelligence, strategy, and cultural insight could match and even surpass raw power. He showed that threats from the unknown regions could not be ignored or underestimated, and he left behind a hidden structure that may one day rise again when the galaxy needs it most. To understand Thrawn is to understand the unknown regions themselves, mysterious, strategic, unyielding, and filled with truths the galaxy is only beginning to face. Chapter 9. Secrets Buried in the Stars. The unknown regions are more than a place of anomalies and uncharted systems. They are a vault of secrets buried across space, hidden from the eyes of both the Republic and the Empire. Within the cold silence between stars lie observatories, sanctuaries, and constructs built not just to survive the void, but to shape the destiny of the galaxy from behind a veil. These secrets were not left there by accident. They were hidden with purpose. Empress Palpatine, a man known for his obsession with control and foresight, was among the few who understood the importance of the unknown regions. He saw not only the potential threats beyond the galactic frontier, but also the opportunities. Using his vast resources, he constructed a network of hidden observatories positioned near gravitational anomalies and hyperspace faults. These stations were not manned by soldiers, but by elite agents, scientists, and force-sensitive individuals loyal only to the Emperor. Each observatory was equipped with powerful sensors and unique archives. Their purpose was twofold. First, to detect any emerging threats from beyond the known galaxy. Second, to prepare contingency plans should the Empire fall. These observatories acted as the foundation of what Palpatine called the contingency, a series of instructions and traps designed to punish the Empire should it fail him. Some were said to destroy entire sectors, others were said to guide surviving assets into hiding. One of the most mysterious elements linked to the contingency was the figure known as Snoke. His origin remains uncertain, but evidence suggests he emerged from one of Palpatine's experiments in the unknown regions. Some believe he was created using dark side rituals and genetic manipulation. Others suggest he was a being discovered during deep exploration, one who either submitted to or was manipulated by the Emperor. What is known is that he eventually took command of the First Order, which grew from the seeds Palpatine planted in secret. The First Order itself was born in the unknown regions. After the fall of the Empire, surviving Imperial loyalists fled core space and disappeared into the void. They were guided not by accident but by design. Palpatine's instructions led them to hidden shipyards, resource-rich systems and safe havens protected by natural barriers. Over time, these remnants evolved. No longer bound by the politics of the old empire, they became something new. They became the First Order, hardened by exile and shaped by isolation. Among the many hidden sites within the unknown regions are ruins connected to the ancient Sith. Some of these locations predate the Republic. Sith cults and dark side practitioners used the unknown regions as a refuge during periods of persecution. Temples carved into asteroid clusters, obelisks orbiting black holes, worlds where the Force feels twisted and unfamiliar. These places were designed to test initiates, to amplify power, and to serve as burial grounds for those whose ambitions exceeded their understanding. One such site, often spoken of only in whispers, is the world of Exegol. Cloaked in storm clouds and darkness, Exegol lies at the heart of a gravitational labyrinth. It is not easily found, and not meant to be. It served as the center of the Sith Eternal, a cult devoted to preserving the dark side legacy in its purest form. Deep beneath its surface, massive shipyards and laboratories worked in silence for years, crafting fleets and secrets that would eventually emerge to threaten the galaxy once more. Other secrets are not tied to the Sith or the Empire. Ancient waystations left by forgotten civilizations still drift between stars, programmed to awaken only when specific signals are received. Some contain maps that suggest the existence of other galaxies. Others speak of alternate realities, timelines branching off from choices never made. These discoveries challenge the very fabric of galactic understanding. Even the Jedi in their golden age knew that the unknown regions contained places of power that defied easy explanation. Some believed the Force flowed differently in those distant systems, as though filtered through an unseen lens. Temples that amplified visions, crystals that sang in multiple tones, entities that communicated only through emotion or dream. These anomalies were never fully understood and were often deliberately forgotten. For some, these secrets offer temptation, knowledge that could grant ultimate control, power that could rival the gods. For others, they are warnings, proof that the galaxy is far more dangerous than most are willing to accept. What lies buried in the stars is not always meant to be uncovered. The unknown regions continue to guard their truths with silence and shadow. To those who seek them, the rewards may be unimaginable, but the risks are just as great. A single secret can change the course of history. A single discovery can awaken something long thought extinct. And some doors, once opened, do not close. Chapter 10. Into the Abyss. To gaze into the unknown regions is to face a question the galaxy has never fully answered. What lies beyond the edge of what we know? For generations, that question has drawn explorers, philosophers, warriors, and visionaries into a realm where certainty dissolves and possibility reigns. And now, in the era following the collapse of the Empire and the rise of the Resistance, that question has become more urgent than ever. With the defeat of the Empire, a power vacuum stretched across the galaxy. While the new Republic attempted to restore peace and structure, the unknown regions grew more restless. hidden factions emerged, ancient powers stirred, and from the depths of this chaos, the First Order rose, with discipline forged in exile and purpose drawn from the obsessions of a fallen emperor. The First Order did not simply appear. Its fleets were not improvised. Its ideology was not formed in the light of galactic discourse. It was built in silence, shaped by the crucible of survival in an environment where weakness meant extinction. In the unknown regions, only those who adapted endured. The First Order mastered this truth. Their command structures were tight, their technology advanced, and their loyalty absolute. For the Resistance, this new enemy posed a threat unlike any faced before. The First Order was not a simple echo of the Empire. It was something leaner, more agile, more fanatical. Understanding its roots required going beyond known star charts. It required reaching into the unexplored and the forbidden. Jedi like Luke Skywalker, after the fall of the second Death Star, began to sense that the Force itself was calling from beyond the known galaxy. In ancient Jedi texts recovered from lost temples, references to pathways and beacons pointed toward the unknown regions. These texts spoke of trials not yet faced and truths not yet revealed. Luke's eventual journey into isolation took him to Ahch-To, but his questions about the unknown regions remained unanswered. Others took up the cause. Cartographers rebuilt lost star charts using fragments found in derelict archives. Smugglers and ex-Imperials with memories of exile spoke of mysterious planets and ghost fleets waiting to return. Pilots tested old hyperlanes once thought impassable, risking death in storms of gravity and radiation. Each success was a step forward, each loss a reminder of the region's danger. One such discovery was the resurgence of Exegol, hidden in the vast obscurity of the unknown regions. This world, lost to history and erased from most records, revealed the culmination of Sith ambition. There, the remnants of the Sith Eternal had built vast legions in secret. Thousands of ships constructed beneath the storms, clone vessels guided by ancient doctrine, and above them all, the phantom presence of Palpatine, returned in a fragile vessel sustained by unnatural means. The final battle that unfolded there was more than a confrontation between fleets. It was the confrontation between knowledge and ignorance, between preparation and assumption. The Resistance triumphed not only because of courage, but because of faith in one another. Where the First Order sought power, the Resistance sought hope. Where the Sith sought domination, the Jedi sought balance. But even with that victory, the unknown regions remain. New expeditions are forming, not to wage war, but to understand. The Jedi, reborn and reimagined, are beginning to train once more. Among their lessons is the understanding that the Force is not confined to temples or known worlds. It flows everywhere, even in places where it seems silent. Some Jedi believe the unknown regions may hold ancient wells of the Force, untouched and unshaped by light or dark. Independent explorers are also returning to the frontier. Scientists, archaeologists, and thinkers now see the unknown regions not only as a place of terror, but of revelation. What other civilizations might yet be found? What alliances might be formed? What understanding of the galaxy's origins might be hidden in those starless corners? But there is caution. Even now, deep scanners pick up anomalies that do not match any known readings. Ancient warnings remain carved into drifting ruins. Untranslatable languages pulse in the dark with strange energy. There is always the possibility that something older, something far more powerful, waits. The unknown regions are not empty. They are a mirror. In them, the galaxy sees not only what lies beyond, but what lies within. Curiosity, fear, ambition, and hope. To travel into that abyss is to walk a path where maps cannot guide you, where the stars do not always lead home. But it is also a path of discovery, of meaning, and perhaps redemption. As long as there are those willing to face the unknown, the story will continue.